Okay, we're gonna wait for this to turn on. Sometimes it says it's recording. There we go. Welcome to the Opossum workshop. You guys are going to be able to leave with your own opossum today. So for all of you that are wondering, what is this? Why didn't I know about this? Whatever. Hi, my name is Critterosity. I am Critterosity on Instagram, TikTok, here on YouTube. So you can literally find me anywhere just by typing in Critterosity. I try to use my art to raise awareness for a lot of things that are helping animals. It's my way to give. It's my way to raise money. A lot of times you don't just have money to give. And if you can have some fun and be rewarded, that's pretty awesome. So I want to thank you guys, or should I say possum? I want to thank you guys for waiting for me. I was having major issues and it turned out it was my iPhone cord is no longer working. So it would turn on and then it would turn off and then it would turn on and turn off. So I've been sitting here for 5 minutes until I could find another cord. So thank you so much. Now, there is a comment section. So while I'm live, you can ask, but please note, this is a forever video, which means I don't pull it, I don't erase it. The public can watch this at any time. So if you do ask any questions, try to make them towards either painting or animals or Easy and BB questions. And Easy and BB is also known as the Wildlife Foster Program. I am fortunate enough I get to help volunteer when I'm free to help with opossums, skunks, squirrels, and raccoons. So those are the main ones that the Wildlife Foster Program takes in when they're injured. It doesn't mean they relocate them when they're fine. If they're living in your backyard, remember, there's a reason that they are there, and we have to share our space with everybody. You got to treat them just like a person. Opossums are fabulous. I would love for you guys to do your own research. You can also follow Easy and BB and see on Instagram like where your funds go, how do your donations get used. We post when we can. Social media is rough when you're running a wildlife foster program, so trying to keep up all the time. We were at the Cat Cove fundraising pet fair event, and it was really cool for adoptions for dogs and cats. We were there sharing knowledge about your neighborhood superheroes, just like the opossum. So if you saw us there, thank you so much. And my name is Eva. I go by Critterosity with my art. But I was there on Sunday and I gave a little speech all about how you don't want these as pets. Just remember, guys, social media glorifies everything. They show you the good times of all these moments. And though animals can be docile, so can a snake, so can a chameleon, so can a lot of things. But they are wildlife. There's a difference between domestic and wildlife. And remember, different states have different rules. So I'm not saying there's not somewhere you can't get one and it be legal and everybody will love it. What I'm saying is they're really meant to go live their best life out in the wilderness. And if you're thinking, well, they might be food for something else, that's called the circle of life. We didn't plan it that way. It just happened that way. So the opossums need to eat, and they eat snakes. They eat all the dead carcasses that are left around. So they're fantastic for getting rid of all of that. They also do not get rabies, so super cool to know that if you accidentally had to move an opossum and got bit, you wouldn't have to worry about that. Just letting you know, you still need to go to the hospital. Don't not. But I'm just saying, at least that's one thing you can rule out. And they also helped us create the anti-venom from snake bites. So I'm letting you know, you want these in your yard. They also eat all your pests, all the bugs that are just annoying you, deer, ticks, all of it. So do your research. Find out more, and if you live here in Southern California or anywhere in California, congratulations, we have opossums. We're one of the only states that has a marsupial, which is really exciting and awesome. And there's even more to learn. And if you go to Easy and BB on Instagram, you'll see a lot of cool things that opossums can do that we've shared that you wouldn't even know, or you actually get to witness it and see it. So we are painting a little small opossum. You're gonna see that I held one up that I made for the Wildlife Foster Program that was much bigger. This one is supposed to be like a desk size, so you can hang it from a little shelf. You can hang it, I don't know, anything that you might have, a little cute shelf that maybe has a wire rack. You can do that. You can hang it in your kitchen. I don't know. I just love opossums. So this is my way to say we can have an opossum, but this one is the best kind. You don't have to feed it. You don't have to worry about it going to the bathroom. You're awesome. Okay. Every time I say awesome, just insert opossum. Okay. All right, so we're gonna start with the different shapes. We've got a head, which I'm gonna show you guys how to draw this, so don't worry. You've got the torso. You're going to have two arms that look like, if they're a certain way, they look like they're the same. They're not. You can just flip them. They mirror image. We have 2 feet for the bottom. Okay, like these. And then we have 2 cute little ears. If mine are the same, it's okay. Some of my pieces, I had some extras for mine, so I'm just recycling and upcycling what I can. And then we have the opossum tail. This is where you can hang it from your finger and take cute little photos. You can take it on trips. I have this really fun van that I decorate when I go on like camping trips, and I'm probably gonna hang my opossum like in the van with me to go on the trips with me, because I'm a weirdo like that, and I love being a weirdo. Okay, and then the other thing I was gonna tell you is some pieces might have something like this. Just flip it over. Sometimes when my laser cutter goes through, it's perfect for all of them, and then one will drop down while it's burning through, and it starts doing the last lines on it, and it ends up burning into it. Just know this is gonna be hidden anyway, so we don't have to worry about that. Just flip it over and know the other side is perfection. We try to upcycle anything we can. If there's no need to throw it away and you can use it, use it. Okay, so we're going to use acrylic paint would be best. You can use Posca markers. These are Posca markers. They're a paint marker. I won't be teaching with those. I'll be using white acrylic paint. This paint is awesome for just running to the store and buying something really fast. The ones I'll be using are the equivalent of what an acrylic is. So these are Holbein Acryla Gouache. These are a little bit more expensive. I am a professional face painter, and I do traditional, did I say face painter? Sorry, I was face painting yesterday. If I did say that, scratch that, but also I'm a traditional painter. I think that's what I said. And I use acrylic gouache, and acrylic gouache is a mix between acrylic paint and gouache. So it's not super watery, it's not super thick and dries really fast. It's a nice medium, and it comes out in this nice little creamy substance, and I take it right out of the tube, which is super helpful because I don't go through a ton of papers or palettes that I have to throw away. The ones that I do, I use my postcards from my artwork. I get postcards in, and I get these backer cards, and they're awesome because they're like a plastic. So it does, if it's gonna go in the trash anyway, that's what I end up using. You can use old computer paper, set computer paper aside that maybe gets crinkled, and you're like, oh man, it ruined it. I just save those pieces and use them for projects. So if you are a painter and you like to paint a lot, that's what you can do. Now, I shook this up and got most of it in the cap. And the first thing we wanna do before we start painting is draw our little face. It's really the only drawing you need to do. I'm gonna show you how to do it. Just you draw softly. I'm drawing harder so that you guys can actually see. But if you draw too hard, it will make the pencil kind of mush and go everywhere, and it will make your white turn to gray, which is kind of great for the opossum. But we want this to be more white in this area. So just draw softly. I'm gonna draw a little bit harder. And we're using our little kind of image here to go from. So instead of turning it over this way, if that helps to kind of figure out where things go, you can, or you can just follow my little guidance here. I realized I did mine upside down. Do you see the point at the top? Isn't that funny? You guys witnessed my mistake. I keep thinking it's a chin. It's not. So we're actually gonna start with this because an opossum's little head, of course, I'm a cartoonist, so I made it really silly. We're trying to match that shape there from the side. So the point goes at the top. All right, we're gonna make a little widow's peak. Think of Mickey Mouse, okay? Opossum Mickey. It's kind of like what we're gonna draw. All right, so we got the widow's peak. And then we're gonna draw a light line across. This is so that we have a guideline. And we're gonna draw a line through that widow's peak we just drew. So think of like a web, right? Sometimes when people draw spider webs, they draw it like this. All right, so it's like a little spider web is starting there. We're not gonna draw a spider web, but to help you guys kind of visualize what that shape is, it kind of looks like the birds when people draw, as I call them, stick birds, the equivalent of a human stick figure. All right, and then we're going to draw, the nose is an oval. Now, how big you want to make it is up to you. I do it about pretty even there. And you can see my little cross points here are right there. And then I want to draw an umbrella. Wow, no, a rainbow, a really skinny rainbow. Now, if you guys are thinking, she's going too fast, this is way too fast for me, I can't do this, pause the video. Even if I'm live, you can pause it. You can also rewind anything that's already been filmed. I'm starting to look at this and going, okay, you know what? Now that I've seen it, this is why we make erasers. I'd like my nose a little lower. There we go, just a little lower. So I moved it right under where my little cross section is. Okay, so I put it right under it. That's why you draw lightly. I'm drawing hard so you guys can actually see, but this is why I told you not to draw hard. See how it muddies and grays and gets on your finger? That's what happens when you start to paint with white. Okay, now the smile can be anything you want. You can use this little opossum for reference. I'm gonna draw a straight line right here. Okay, just a straight line. And we're gonna end up making the smile off the side. So I'm gonna do a little line and a little line. That's where I'm choosing for my smile to end. So let me bring this up again because the light sometimes bounces off of the pencil and it's hard to see. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna curve in and connect. Curve in or out, whatever you wanna say, and connect. This one went kind of out and out. And then I add a little line under the lip because he's gonna get a little cute punum lip, as I call it. It's like the little bottom lip that goes. And something I learned while working for Easy and BB is slubbing. And I didn't know what slubbing was. I was very confused by this word. And that is why on my little sticker sheets, if you guys have any interest, you can always check out critterosityshop.com if you want to reach out to me on Instagram or write in the comments, hey, I would love to get that sticker sheet. The money that I get from the sticker sheet, I kind of wait until the end of a couple weeks, and then I donate a portion of the sales. This 100% went to Easy and BB, but I wait to calculate the sticker sheets, and then I give a portion of the sales, a good portion, to the Easy and BB Rescue, aka Wildlife Foster Program, so that they can buy all the things that they need to get for the animals. So if you have any interest in that, there is a little sticker that says, I slub you. When an opossum loves somebody and rubs their scent and drools all over them, you have been the chosen one. So I'm just letting you guys know, if you ever do encounter an opossum that needs to just love on you, you have been slubbed. They slub you. So I made that little slub you line because I love puns, and Deborah Jo, who runs the Wildlife Foster Program, loves it. And I'm like, you mean I slub you? And she goes, yeah. So that's what that is. All right, you guys should have had enough time to catch up. We're gonna draw 2 circles inside that gray, well, it's going to be gray, but the little gray line that outlines. Now, you can do 2 dots like my little opossum on the side has. I'm actually making little eyeballs in there. Something else I've noticed working with these opossums up close as I clean their cages and I'm just around to kind of observe them, is that they really do have black eyes with white around it, just like our eyes. And it's so cute. Some of them are more prominent than others. Some look like just little black dots, and some actually look like a human eye when they get bigger and they're looking around. It's really cute and I actually love it. So I'm gonna make a little black eye basically inside that. So 2 circles, 1 and 2. Now, don't draw really hard. I will continue to say that because I know we can be really heavy on our pencil and draw like this. With cartooning and sketching, you should be drawing really softly. So I just kind of drew a little idea of where more puns. I drew a little idea of where they're going to go, but you don't want to sit there and color them in because this is just the pencil lines. When we paint, you're not going to be able to see these lines very well. So what you want to do is you want to locate a permanent marker. This can be a Sharpie, and if you are using a Sharpie, especially for how small this is, you want to use a fine point Sharpie. And even though it's a Sharpie, this is a very soft texture. This is just like paper, even though it's pressed particle board. Even though it still has a paper-like feel, and it's not like a piece of wood. It's just a bunch of pieces of wood pressed together. So it's still going to be paper-like, that if you draw a lot with the permanent marker and you don't let it sit overnight, even if you do let it sit overnight, as you're adding water and paint, it starts to reactivate the marker. You'd be shocked. So you're thinking it's a permanent marker. How could it do that? But it does do that. This is just an off-brand. It's not a permanent marker, or I'm sorry, it's not a Sharpie. It's just a waterproof zebra pen. And I love these pens. I get them from our local art supply warehouse. I get all of these paints from Art Supply Warehouse. So if you do live in Southern California, look them up. If you don't, they do ship online as well. They have their own website. Okay, so I've started tracing all of the lines I want to keep. So I've got this with the eye and the eyeball. Now don't worry, I'm going to be coloring things in. It won't be as creepy. He's kind of looking like he's staring at us really heavily. And then I'm drawing my 2 rainbow shapes. Okay, and now I can make the mouth. And I mean, I changed some things up from my original design of it. If you like the little line connecting the lip, they don't really have one of those. And so I kind of did it because I'm so used to drawing dogs and cats. But we add a little line coming up the nose. And then, fun story, these guys can dive underwater. Like I said, there's a lot of videos that you guys should follow on Easy and BB. I don't want to give it all away, but they can close their nostril holes and they can close up their pouch. So if they're carrying babies in the water and they need to dive down, they can close their pouch up. It's pretty phenomenal. And again, opossums just keep adding up to the cool list. So now that I've done that, now it's time to paint. That was the hardest thing. You don't have to draw anything else. The rest is done with paint. So I'm going to back up just a little bit for you guys. Also, when I do any kind of sip and paint workshops, it is important and crucial to be drinking something. I have made this homemade coffee for myself because I'm fancy, but I'm also using Yadir Studios, who donated the bird to Easy and BB, aka Wildlife Foster Program. They donated one of their cutouts, and I just love all their little illustrations. And this one is of Spyro, if you played those games when you were young. And I love that one side is color and one side is not color. So again, yadir.studios on Instagram, might be studios. And their name is Yadira, and they're a local artist here, cartoonist, and we are really good friends, and we both love animals. So shout out to them. I'm drinking out of their coffee mug. All right, I'm loading up my white acrylic. I like pouncer brushes. They cover things really well. This one is called a Deerfoot brush. It's by Princeton. I'm an artist. I can't spend a lot of money. I'm an artist. Of course I use affordable materials, but I also buy the best of the lowest priced items, if that makes sense. I don't go with the cheapest. I find one of the best and I take the lowest of those. And the Princeton brushes are $5, $7. It's really affordable and they're fantastic. You're probably thinking, oh no, why is she doing that? Why is she doing that? I won't be able to see it. Take a photo of your little character before you start painting. And I'm just avoiding that little spot where we had the widow's peak because it's going to be a gray color. So remember when I said don't draw hard with your pencil? Do you see what happens? That is why. And mostly my marker's going to shine through as it starts to dry, but that's my pencil coming through. It's just smearing the pencil. I should have erased. If you guys catch it before, you can always watch this tutorial and then come back and do it. But there's no rush. You guys can rewatch this at any time. Guess what else you have? Whoops, I messed up. Let me start over. You should have a second side. The only time that doesn't work out is if it's one that the laser printer may be printed on the back. If there's any issues with these pieces, if you're willing to pay for shipping and handling and you've already purchased the workshop, all you have to do is send me a DM, Critterosity, and say, hey, or you can write me Critterosity or critterosityshop@gmail.com. You can say, hey, I messed up. I would like to buy another piece. I won't even charge you for the piece if you prove you bought the workshop. What I would like is you just to pay for the shipping because that is the most expensive part. All right, so now I'm just going to pounce a little bit on it. And the best part about paint is when it dries, it creates a solid coat. So yeah, I really can't see a lot of my illustration, but because I drew it, I know what I want it to look like. I just have a little bit of ideas. There's the little eyes. A few ideas of where to start painting again. I'm going to let that dry because when it dries, I can go over it with white again and it will start to show the color better. It'll show the white. So now what I'm going to do is take my little body. This is the little body. And I'm going to just, look at this. Look how quick this is going. The Opossum is not going to take us very long. How much detail and what products you're using is what's going to make it take a long time. If you're using watercolor, not going to work. If you're using acrylic, great, but it's going to dry really fast. This paint is very forgiving that I'm using, and even though it goes down like, well, this one in particular is acrylic, but this paint that I'm using, it can reactivate. This one cannot reactivate because it's straight up acrylic paint. So now I'm just splashing this down. If you only have brushes this size, like a round brush, that's fine. It's just going to take you longer to do it. So whenever you decide to keep painting with me or do any kind of painting in the future, I do suggest buying brushes that are all different shapes and sizes to help you much faster. I believe Michael's sells these brushes, Michael's Arts and Crafts, and then again, Art Supply Warehouse, Princeton brushes. I'm gonna hold it up. Actually, I'll hold up a good one so you guys can maybe screenshot it. But Princeton Select, that is the brand right there. And then I always keep a paper towel next to me, but as you can see, I'm a very messy girl. I'm hands-on. I get right into it. All right, and then I think about, is there anything else white that I need to paint? You don't even have to prime this stuff because I pick the lighter of all of my my laser cut pieces. Some I used to buy were like really dark. Actually, I have a little loft cat that I printed. Do you see how dark that one is? That one needed more of like a primer. Now with the lighter ones, once the paint dries, just go over it one more time and you won't even notice that like beige in the background. Okay, I'm gonna get these arms, even though we're gonna do a lot of gray, I'm just kind of prepping a little white to peek through. I love texture and I love not spending hours and hours on something. I think you can get the same effect just being fun and whimsical and not trying to make it perfect. Nothing is perfect. Own that, live it, and then you'll be able to paint much faster. The great part about paint is when it's dry, you can go over it. Oh my gosh, I was talking all about my sticker sheet, and look what I have in front of me. I have an accidental tumbler that is backwards. See how the words are backwards? I forgot to flip my image when I made my tumbler. But there's the Slub You one. So these are all on my sticker sheet. You can purchase to also help out our cause. He's looking for food. He's got glasses. This one says just playing. If you guys haven't seen The Wild Robot yet, it's about to leave theaters. I know it'll end up at home, but it is so beautiful on the big screen. The opossums in that, all the characters in it are just darling, but they definitely have a main character and little babies that are like this, and I love it. This one says hang in there. I slub you again. I just kind of duplicated them on the other side. So that's what slubbing is, when they love you, and that's how I made it. Thought it was a lot of fun. Okay, so back to this. Don't be afraid to move around. If your project is still damp, you'll notice because it'll be a little bit glossy. The best thing to do is, if you are buying something that says gloss enamel or an acrylic, is that you try to find one that says matte. This one did not. It said gloss enamel. I missed it. The good news is it mostly dries matte on this product, but try to find something that's M-A-T-T-E. It's a matte paint. That means it's gonna dry a little bit. It's gonna dry as if it's not shiny, and we don't want shiny. All right, I'm gonna take a drink because that's what we do here. Oh, coffee, that's the good stuff. Okay, now I'm gonna go to pink, anything pink. All right, whatever color pink you have. Actually, most of this is going to be pink. We'll use pink later on the face, but we still need to work on some things. Now we work dark to light, so I'm gonna grab a crimson red, and it doesn't matter that it's really dark. I'm gonna tap this off on my paper, just a loose paper. I'm still using the same brush. I haven't changed it. You can use whatever brush you want. And I'm just tapping. That's how quick this one goes down. Boom, 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 boom. I'm gonna do the tail. And why we do this is it's creating an instant shadow for the way I make things. I use a lot of texture. I'm gonna do a little bit on the inside of the ear. Now note, this is gonna be slightly hidden behind the ear, or behind the head, I'm sorry, behind the head. So whatever you're gonna paint, kind of move up a little bit from where it's gonna attach. The arms will be on top of the body, the feet will be on top of the body, and the tail will be slightly behind, I guess, of our little opossum. It's gonna come out of there. So really the ears and the tail are the only two things that need to attach just a little bit behind there. So there we go. Look how quick. It's already pretty much dry because I'm using the dry brush technique. I'm not putting a lot of water on it. I'm just pretty much taking it right out of the tube of paint. I'm just kind of squeezing this, and I have what we call in my world a paint booger. Sometimes it's dangerous. Yesterday I got yellow everywhere from squeezing too hard, and the paint just, the little dry part just went bloop, and all this paint went everywhere. Luckily I could clean it up quick. But that way a little bit of paint comes out instead of a big glob. So I actually leave it like that as long as I can until paint doesn't come out. So that is coral red. It's kind of like a salmon. For those of you that don't know, I can tell right now it's not working as good. So if you're a parent, if your kids got some of these, just be really careful. I always buy a pair of really cheap dollar pair of scissors. As long as they're pointy and not the safety scissors, you can get out all of the paint just by going around. This works also for my big acrylic bottles as well. So I'm just pulling that up. Even though it doesn't seem like I got it all, enough can move now that I can just tap. And if it's too much, you tap it off. And as it starts to dry out, I don't want to cover everything I just put down. I'm not covering all of the crimson red. I'm adding the coral red kind of splotchy over it. And there is a reason why. It's going to make it look really real, as opposed to making it one solid color. If this is too much for you and you like a solid color, go for it. It's living in your home. It's your new baby. You also have to come up with a good name and leave it in the comments below. If you watch this one day, tell me what the name of your opossum is. Mine, all of my animals that I've ever gotten as stuffed animals lately over the last maybe 10 years or so have been Toby. I don't know why. I love the name Toby. I think it's the cutest thing. One of my boyfriend's best friends is named Toby. I'm so jealous of his life. I wish my name was Toby. I love that name so much. So now I just call everything Toby that I get. Every now and then a character will get a special name based on what it is, but for now, this is Toby. Toby the Sloth. Okay, so I've just kind of used whatever was left in my brush. These are like sponges. You think you're out, there's not going to be any more paint. There is. Have you guys ever painted inside a house and you are trying to clean out the brush or the roller and the paint just keeps coming out? This is it in mini form. It's still in there. But right now I'm pretty good. I've got most things pink. Now I'm going to go back with my coral red, and I'm not going to really wipe off too much. I'm just going to dab it a couple times. And now I'm just going to add little splotches to the tail. I'm not going to do too many. I just kind of want the tail to have some texture. All right, so I'm just kind of dab, 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 dab. And the little hands, dab, 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 dab. And this hand, dab, dab, dab. And if there's a little bit more on my table, I'll do the tips of the fingers. Because remember, opossums have those like little gloves on their hand. They're so cute. If you guys have seen Over the Hedge, one of my all-time favorite movies, love it. I know Avril Lavigne and what's his name? William Shatner. William Shatner. There's something on the wing. They played the father-daughter duo, and I think it's so cute. It came out years ago. Wanda Sykes is the skunk. Steve Carell is me, basically, Hammy. I go a mile a minute, as you guys can probably already tell. And then I'm trying to think, and the raccoon is Bruce Willis. So it's just such a fun cast. They were really great together. All right, now they also make brushes with Princeton and some other companies where they're called a split brush or a grainer or a filbert split brush. So there's a lot of different brands that make these. The best part about this, it makes the easiest hairlines. As long as you just wipe it off after you load your brush, or you can dip it in paint. Look at that. It makes such cool textures for you. Oh, did you guys see that? Sorry, the opossum was hanging there. He was hanging around there. All right, so this is really neat. And again, not a lot of water, keeping it really simple. So when you guys are investing in buying paintbrushes, having multiple things will get the job to be a little bit easier. Maybe you guys watch this video, purchase your own opossum. These are still available on my shop. I'm still donating 100% of this sale to Easy and BB. It is a rescue I truly love, and she does fabulous work. So it is an honor to donate to somewhere I can actually see with my eyeballs. I've donated a lot when I can of my art to places that I don't know, and that can be really tough. So it's nice to know there's something here in Southern California that I believe in, I can see, and I can help with them. So that is what I'm all about. is time is one of the most, to me, time is the most valuable thing over money. Unfortunately, with the world, it's made it to where money kind of takes that over. So we want to make sure, you know, we're donating our time where we can. If art is your time and then you donate it to a gallery to raise money, fantastic. Right now, I'm picturing my opossum as a middle-aged dad who works in sanitation. His name is either Fred or George, but I think I'll know for sure once I paint him. First of all, thank you, Madi Puppets. If you don't follow Madi Puppets online, this is why I love my friends. They make puppets. They have, and they're trying not to get any attention, but I'm going to do it. They run a enrichment program in Sacramento-ish area, and they do so many things from rocket science to learning about how to make movies to learning. It's incredible. And having her get this and make it is going to be awesome. And Maudie, you haven't purchased yours yet, right? You got it today. So we won't be able to see Maudie's creation until they get it in the mail. But since they live in California, it usually takes 1 day to get to them, at most 2 days. So I cannot wait to see what Maudie's going to come up with. Working in sanitation. That's like the greatest ever plot line we love. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is go back with my white acrylic. All right, and I'm going to, anywhere I can, I try to scoop it back up and recycle it. Very important, okay? And look at this. This whole thing has made its own boat inside there. I love that. I will eventually be able just to dump that out. I'm taking my split brush. If you don't have one of these, use a pouncer brush. If you don't have a small or large pouncer brush, just use whatever you have, okay? The cool part about this one is not only can I create those cool lines to look like fur, I can also turn it on its side to get into areas that maybe I don't want the whole thing flat. But look at that. And yes, I drew my character. I have muscle memory. I know whereabouts I drew things. I don't need to look at a reference photo. But this is why I told you take a photo of your character before you paint it, because you might cover it up and not know where things go. You can also rewind the video once it's done painting and redraw the face on top of the paint. That's up to you, but you probably don't want to use a pencil. It will smear. You won't be able to erase it as good. Or you can just take paint and start eyeballing. I don't know where my twang comes in. Everybody thinks I have twang. I guess I do. I call it living in the country for most of my life. All right, so what I'll do is while like something's drying over here, like white, I'll be like, ooh, I should take that coral red, dip it into some of that white, tone it down a bit, not too bright, just a soft color. And I think the cheeks would be cute. I don't think I did cheeks on the one I made for the Wildlife Foster Program, which they still have. That was my donation to them so they could have it at events and take photos with it. I didn't make cheeks. I wanted to keep it as realistic cartoony as possible. It's still cartoony, but I'm going to make some little cheeks. And look how good that little pouncer does. I do not throw away paintbrushes, even if they are getting old. I keep them until I literally have nothing I can do with them. Ones that usually go the fastest are going to be anything that bends from leaving it in the water too long, or it frays. But even if it bends, I can still use it. And sometimes I use it to my benefit. Like just the angle of the brush actually helps out where I'm painting. And I'm like, hey, that worked out really well. Okay, I still have some of this left over. It's just the coral red a little lighter. So if you have something left over from the white and you can mix in some pink tones and get a softer pink tone, that's cool. You can do that too. And I'm just pouncing, moving along, pouncing, moving along. I want it to be kind of messy, if you will. That's the look I'm going for. That's how it has texture and looks like us. We don't have perfect colored skin that's just one flat brush. There's lines in there. There's bumps. That's exactly how these little characters are. And by the way, opossum feet, like their actual bottom feet are so cute. They have little sections. They just like little toe pads, almost like a little froggo. Okay, so you can see we are moving along nicely. Now we're going to start to add gray and white. Okay, gray and white. I'm going to do a pouncer brush first. Again, anything you have can paint this. I'm just showing you what I have in my kit so that you guys understand how I do things, because I'd rather show you it exact than try to cater to what each person has. I would love to inspire you to become painters and artists because it's such a fun thing to do. It's a way to kind of calm your brain down, your nervous system down. Or if you stress out about this, it's probably the worst project for you. But don't stress, just have fun. I mixed a tiny bit of black to a lot of white. Tiny bit of black, a lot of white. That's the ratio. I just kind of guess. I'm one of those like where the chefs, I am not a chef by any means. But when you talk to someone and you're like, wow, this is so good. What's the recipe? And they're like, I don't know. Every time I just kind of splash in a little bit of seasoning. That is how I've learned to paint. It's just trial and error. I don't have the exact ratios. Nobody's got time for that. I don't. And I'm just splashing some gray around the edge. You can pounce, you can pull. Another great thing about these, they kind of do what the split brush does because the hairs are all kind of frayed out all differently. This is going to be more precise line work, and this one's going to be just kind of fun all over the place line work. Oh no, Eva, I'm starting to lose my color. Guess what? You just grab a little bit more. If your white runs out, just add a little bit more white to your palette there that you're drawing on or coloring on. Remember where we did our little widow's peak? Okay, I don't want to go too low because the eye needs its little patches. So I'm just doing a light gray right now. This is almost like sketching it out and marking, and I'll get a little darker as I go. Opossums look all different, you guys. They don't always look the same. There's an opossum in another state. There's another type of possum somewhere else. We have the opossum, but there are different types. So make sure you check out all the different looks of them on Google and kind of pick which ones you like. Some have little specks on the back. Some have markings on the back. Some are more just gray all over. So it really depends. So I'm using that gray and going right to where the hands are starting. We are going to make them black little gloves if you would like to. Anything I do that you don't want to do, you don't have to. Anything I can do, you can do different. Okay, that's the rules in this town. I can't see what you're making, so don't worry. I'm just showing you what I would do. All right, I'm going to mix a little bit darker, just a little bit darker. I added a little more black to that. I'm going to go to the top of the ears, and I'm going to shape on the rounded side. Okay, shaping on the rounded side, leaving the little candy corn look. The point is still down, okay? That's the part we're going to connect. But I want to see some of the pink. Some of this is cartoony and I'm making it up as I go, as opposed to like being completely exactly what an opossum looks like. So if you want to make it even more realistic, go for it. All right, we're adding some of that dark shade, but I'm not covering the whole thing. I'm just kind of picking spots to add a little bit of a dark tone. Just random places, because I'm going to come back with my split brush and add cool line work to it. So it's going to be really neat. But it'll show you how quick you can kind of get these. Now, how fun would these be for people that do celebrate Christmas? Okay, it could go in any tree. But how cute in like your plants at home or in a Christmas tree as an ornament. So you can buy more of these. Know you're helping the animals out at Wildlife Foster Program and make everybody an opossum that like matches their personality. I do sell little bows. I sell little glasses you could put on them. I love glasses. Like if they can be on any project I'm working on, I try to. And that is why this opossum is wearing these glasses, because they found them in the trash maybe and they started using them. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is with it, but that's it. They're scavengy. They love. Okay, now I'm just doing the tippy top, making that little shape. Do you guys remember? We kind of bent inward like this. And then I'm going to add a little bit of dark, just a little, nothing crazy, just to the edge. And they're all going to look different. No one's is going to look just like mine. Mine's not going to look just like yours. And it's awesome because there's not one person that looks alike, and it's the same with opossums. They may look similar, but every single opossum has something special. Oh, and something very exciting happened at Easy and BB. They went and visited a raccoon with 5 ears. 5 years. Wildlife Foster Program. Make sure you're following them on Facebook, or you can also just follow them on Instagram, or both. Wildlife Foster Program on Facebook and Easy and BB on Instagram. And the other thing I was going to tell you guys was Deborah Jo, so cool, started Emma Zen Foundation, EMMAZEN Foundation. And that was getting oxygen masks for animals that get rescued by firefighters. So the firefighters get all these oxygen masks just for the pets. I'm sure wild animals too. I mean, I don't know where else they can use them, but definitely dogs were the first main focus, but obviously we want to support all the pets in our home, right? And Deborah Jo helped train firefighters how to use them, and still to this day host pet fairs every year to raise money to get more oxygen masks. So when I tell you the reason I work with Easy and BB and promote them and talk about them so much is because I actually get to see what's going on and the work and what goes with everything they're doing. And I'm just a volunteer like once to maybe twice a week, depending on what I need to do or can do. Hello and welcome to the live. Human accessories on animal cartoons is my favorite thing. See, I am not alone. I have found my humans. Okay, now we're getting down to the face while all of this is drying, okay? The face, I'm going to go back to what I taught you guys before. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. Maybe because I'm live, I say things very oddly. I know my nose was about in a certain area, so I'm just kind of recreating it. I showed you guys how to draw it. I'm just going to go back and plug it in where I think it's supposed to go. So the nose was about here. It was an oval. I'm doing this with crimson red and a small round brush. Okay, so I draw the circle, the shape, oval. I should know better. I draw the oval first. Okay, that is what I firstly do. And then I let it dry. The best part is I'm not using a ton of water. With acrylic gouache and acrylic paint, you can literally just lay it down right from the tube or the bottle and just let it sit and dry. Right now it's really dark, but there's a reason. And what did I tell you? When something's on my brush, I think to myself, where else can I use this? So to make little lines, little stripes in my tail, I watered down that crimson red. And now all I'm gonna do is very lightly, barely touch the tail. And I kind of pick different spots like big, little, a fat line, a little skinny line, and I just kind of change it up as I go. Sometimes I put 3 in a row, little bangles around there. All right, and this is kind of adding where the tail breaks up. Remember, we're going to attach it about right here. So there's that. Okay. So we got the little tail has some lines. It's not done yet. You go dark and then you add your lighter line to it so it really pops, okay? So we're gonna move that one aside. Next, while I have this crimson red, if you ran out, anything like a dark maroon, burgundy, whatever, you can just dip it, reactivate it when it's an acrylic, acrylic gouache. If you have acrylic paint, it still might be able to be reactivated, okay? I'm going to put a little line through the toes. Nothing crazy, just simple, just kind of guessing. Basically, right in half of the toe, I'm going to add a little line. It might run out. It's just adding a little shadow to where we're going to add the big, like, cute pads. And then I'm going to draw a line closing up the foot. Little rainbow across the foot. All right? So let me bring these up. You can pause it. You can try to draw what I just did. I did like the rainbow right here. I did a line through the toe, a line through each finger. All right, if it wasn't dark enough, what do? We just load up our brush, all right, and try it again. And less water is more. You don't want it just running everywhere. Simple dimple. Okay, little lines through the fingers. And this is gonna add a nice little texture. And then when we add the pink, it's really gonna pop for it. Okay, so we got the toesies. Now I'm gonna take that crimson red and I'm gonna make little lines in the ears, okay? So watering it down just the littlest bit, kind of wiping it down. And then I'm going to make little rainbows. 1, 2, and then one at the very top, 3. Okay, if you don't like this, don't do it. 1, 2, 3. Just kind of adding little lines through the ears, gonna hold these up. It's kind of watercolory if you water it down. This goes for acrylic too, not just acrylic gouache. Okay, now we've got those done. I'm gonna go back to my nose. It should be dry. Yes, it is, because I didn't use a lot of water. I'm going right from the tube for my coral red, tapping it off, and I'm adding a little highlight into the nose. I'm not going to cover the whole nose. I want that dark red. We put it down for a reason on the edge of the nose. So I'm just trying to kind of fill it in. It is not precise. It is not perfect. It's just kind of there. Alrighty, and then while I've got that, I'm going to start my little mouth area, and I'm going to start with my lightest pink tone. Okay, so my mouth, remember we drew a flat line, we drew a little line, we drew a little line for the smile, we go out and in, we go out and in. So it's got a fun little mouth here. I'm going to kind of connect that. It's the same lines we drew earlier. You're just drawing them in the softest pink that you can. That way you can kind of go back and work on it. While those are drying, we're going to make a gray again. So we're going to dip a little bit of white and take the littlest bit of black. You don't want to do black into white because it will contaminate the white. You do a little bit of white and you can grab a dot of black and just kind of work it in. If you need more white, if it's not light enough, we want it to be fairly light. This one to be like a heather gray. All right, I'm just rolling my brush. See my hands? I'm rolling my brush around to load it everywhere. That way I don't have to go back 5 times to get more paint. I'm making those little rainbow shapes we talked about. Just draw the rainbow. Taste the rainbow. No, I'm just kidding. The old Skittles commercials. Okay, I'm going to put those down. If you use too much water, it might be really runny. When you're loading your water in, you're cleaning your dish, you're cleaning your paint in your cup or your bowl. You tap it off. Just know, even if you think you got off all the paint is still wherever your paint level or your water level was. So if you dipped it and the water went up to here, you hit it off and you think, oh, great, there's still so much water on your little handle that it's going to run down and it's going to just make the water just come down the barrel there and then splatter everywhere. We don't want that. We don't want that. I mean, unless you want that, but you don't want that. The faster it can dry, which means less water, the faster you can move forward to the next part of the project. Okay, now I'm losing a bit of that little cute widow's peak. So I'm going to take white on my little line brush, my littlest line brush I can. And now I'm going to start to shape by adding individual lines. Do you see that? I'm shaping out the character. So I want to keep that fun kind of V shape, little bit of a bird shape to it. You can even add some lines into it because remember, they're covered in hair. So it can look any which way you want. You can put lines going this way. You can bring the gray downward. I'm just kind of letting it do its thing. I'm not being very precise, if you will. Touch up anywhere. Once it's dry, I noticed a little bit of this red came down here, so I'm just going to clean that up. Yeah, so that kind of shapes out the eye. Just added a little bit. Okay, and like I said, I'm using a glossy paint, which kind of bums me out. I thought I bought matte, and I didn't, but that's okay. And now I'm going to move that off to the side to dry because we've got other things we can do. You don't need to rush through it and finish one part. The whole point is to keep moving forward. I have no water on this brush. I just grabbed the white out of the little jar. Boom, just barely touched it down, tapped off a little bit, loaded it back and forth, and then boom. I get those nice cool streaks. If I have to do it a few times, I do because it's better to add little bits at a time than overdo it. Then you have to grab the gray again and you have to go through the whole process. I want that fun, sketchy look. I want it to look like it could be hanging right in my room just with the way it is, as opposed to flat lines, because that will look very 2D and we want it to look a little bit 3D. This time I'm going to go ahead and do a bit more, okay, just to cover these spots that I feel like it's missing. And there we go. So when the head is upside down, it's going to attach onto the body, not behind it, onto it. So that's why I want to make sure I give myself enough room to kind of figure that out. Okay, we're good. Anything that has fallen on your painting, try to get that off when it's dry. Don't pick at things that maybe fell on your painting, like little eraser bits. Maybe it was stuck to my arm and then it fell off when I was over it. I wait till it's dry and then I kind of pull them off. If you do it when it's wet, it'll just start to create a mess. Okay, so now I'm going to load up my white and kind of drag it to barely have white on there. And look, I add a little bit of white to the ears. I'm going to drag it and add a little bit of white to the ears. Just a little bit. It's the inside of the ears. Anything I'm doing, you can do any way you like. All right, to add a little shine to the tail, I'm going to use that same brush. I just want a little bit. I can tap off some of it. And watch this. I'm going to stay right down the middle of the tail because that's where the shine line is happening. A little bit shiny. I can kind of curve the brush as I'm going. If you want to use another type of brush, you can. This is adding like a little glossy line, and as it's running out, now I can kind of pull after I dab that little bit, and now the tail has a little bit of shine to it. Anywhere I mess up, I can just go back with my pink and add to that, okay? So the tail is going to be attached about right here. All right, so we've got the head, the tail, the ears. Now we're going to move to these little cute paw pads. All right, I'm going to zoom in for this one. And what I do is I grab about a medium round brush. Let me find it. There we go. This is about a medium round brush. This is a number, does it even say on here? Oh, of course. I think it rubbed off, but maybe a number 1 or number 2. Okay, and I'm going to take the softest pink color, shell pink. If you don't have it, you can mix some pink with white that you were using, like the coral red or salmon. I'm going to dab it to where it makes like a little circle on the side. And now it's loaded up. I can just press it down, press and lift, press and lift, press and lift. Some of these are bigger toes, so I might need a little bit more. Press and lift. And it's making little toe pads. And I'm going to do it again right below it. Little toe pads. If you need more paint, grab some more. You want it to make that nice circle, and you want your round brush to really try to stay round. If you need to roll it, you can, just to tap that off. Dab, dab, right where the little knuckles would be. I'm going to do a little bit of a line. Going to add a little bit of a pad here. But do you see how I'm avoiding all that work I did earlier? I'm trying to let that stay. So there we go. I'm just kind of going back over it, sucking up any paint I don't need. I'll have to work on that little split right there. It kind of went everywhere. And a little pad here. Okay, now if it's too soft of a color, we can come back with another pink and kind of add to it to make it a little bit more pink. But for now, that's what that little pad looks like for the feetsies. I'm going to load up some more of that pink and also take a drink. Pink and drink. Idir Studios, thank you so much. Making the cutest little mug. Okay, now we're going to go toe. Doesn't matter how you hold it, wherever you feel comfortable. If it's better to lay it down this way to get more of a oval shape on the toe on the big ones, you can. Okay, I'm going to add my little pads here. One little line. Fill this in just a little bit, not a lot, just a little bit. Kind of create little kidney bean in there. And then another little toe. If you need to look at the bottom feet of opossums, enjoy the photos for me because they are just the cutest thing in the world. A lot of people can't get up close to an opossum, so you don't know what the bottom of the feet look like, but they are one of my all-time favorite things. Okay, so now you have this little foot in there, okay? The technique is fun. That's the whole great part of it, right? I'm going to go back now. Like I said, I felt like it was a little too white. A little bit of white on the coral or the shell pink color. So now I'm mixing in a little of my coral red. This is on paper. I should be doing it on my plastic so it holds up, but that's okay. I've been doing this so long. Now what I'm going to do is go back to what I just did, and you'll see it's adding more of a peach tone. So we're just going over what we just did. I'm not doing anything special, just adding more of a rosy tone to it. There we go. So see the difference? That's why I went back over it. How many times you do something is up to you. This one's probably going to get auctioned off tonight. Did I mention that? I'm going to auction it on my live sale. So we have 2 auctions tonight. But I'm probably going to make one for my van, just on a day where I'm just wanting to paint. I might take it with me on a little van trip, make it, and then hang it on the wall, just as to be really cute, because I have little hooks in my van. And since I've got this, what do I say? Try to find everything you can use something on so you don't waste it. So I think I'm gonna do more pink on the end of these. Just splashing a little bit of pink onto there. Okay, sorry if the little opossum's hanging on the screen where it's supposed to go. I just added it to the end of the fingertips of the actual arms that are gonna go on the tummy. Now, this is like really, really red, so now I'm gonna splash a little bit more warmth. And every layer you add, just dry brush. Don't add a ton of paint, just let whatever's left go on it, and that way you'll still see a little bit of the other colors through it. Like the white's still there, those lines I made. I just layer and layer and layer. And now I'm gonna bring my nose back and I'm gonna go mix a little bit more of that light pink. Okay, and on the nose, I'm going to add, it's very on the nose. Ha, I said it and I called it. I'm adding that lighter coral red. Do you guys see how that helps? I'm gonna add a little bit to the bottom lip. Just to the bottom lip. We are almost done, you guys. And since I have some of that coral red, what else am I gonna do? I'm gonna try to touch up a little spot I see on my ear. Everyone's got something different going on their table. So I can't see what you're doing. You can't make it exactly to the way I'm doing it. We're just kind of winging it as we go. All right, we don't know how each of ours will look. And if you do get done, you should tag Easy and BB on Instagram and share what yours looks like at any time you decide to do it. I'm just splashing a little bit of this bright pink on the tail where I think it just needs a little bit more color. There we go. See, so I've left some of my old work, some of my new work. But tag Easy and BB and show us what you made. We love to see it. You don't have to tag Critterosity. This is all in the name of the animals. And then I'm going to do a little dot of white. So I'm just using my little tiny brush. And I'm going to add a little dot of white and a line. Now you can stop there with the nose or you can do a bit more. I added a little line under the bottom lip. So let me bring this up to you guys. Little line there. While I have the white, I might want to touch up where I just painted over. So the white kind of goes over the top and hides any, major mistakes. The white is going to attract your eye to the shiny lines on the tail. So now I'm just kind of cleaning those up because I did mess up just a little bit. And messing up is okay because we can just let the paint dry and do it again. I love paint. It is very forgiving. People are scared of paint. It's actually one of the best things you can use as a medium. You can keep erasing a pencil, but at some point that pencil line is going to show up. So just be careful as you do it. All right, now I'm going to go back to that crimson red. I'm going to use my little brush, my littlest line brush, okay? I'm just wiping it down. I have water on my brush, so I'm going to wipe off just the handle of it onto my hand. You can also use a paper towel, but I can feel that water was going to start running down, so I want to be really aware that that's happening. I'm going to kind of watercolor the little nose. Okay, here's the nose parts. It can go close up. Here's the center one. The ones that can close up can go on the side. I'm going to use this to do a dark scoop underneath to add a little shadow of our bottom lip. As I say, the punum lip, little punum. All right, we're going to work on the eyes. I want to get that going so that I can come back and add my black dots. So not too much paint. Just kind of use your brush to go and make a shape. Start small and work your way out. If you just try to shape it right away, you'll probably end up with a size you don't like. And then you have to wait for the gray to go back over it. So go slow. You're better when you go slow. I've just been painting for a long time, so I know about where things go. I know what my brush is going to do. There is a glob of water right there. See, I noticed those things because if it runs down, it's going to mess up a lot of what I did. All right, now let's say you bought the shiny white acrylic paint and you're like, oh no, I fell for the thing that she did. You can just let it dry and then go find matte white acrylic paint and just paint over it. It might take you a minute, but at least it'll cover a lot of the glossy. This is fine. It is what it is. It's just going to be a little shiny. Where I didn't put it on as much, it's not as shiny, but you can see that it does shine. And then I have some white on here. So what do? I find places just to splash it so I didn't waste it. And I'm doing my little rainbow shapes in the ears again. yeah, if you don't need to do the rainbow shapes in the ears, don't do it. If yours looks good, don't touch it. Just because I'm doing it just means that mine needed it a little bit more. All right, now I'm going to use black. Okay, black. And I'm going to start my little gloves. It's one of my favorite little things. With my little line brush, I just tap it off a little bit. I'm going to flick outwards. Stay kind of away from the fingers if you can. But this is going to make a little bit of a dark hair starting on the arm. It doesn't go all the way up the arm, just kind of starts. So again, a little bit of a flick so that I don't, if you go this way, it's going to be a blob. You want to flick outward. If it helps to turn the brush a certain way or the piece a certain way, you can definitely do that. And then I'm just going to bring it and blend it down. Barely any water, barely any paint, just enough to get it moving, okay? Now I'm going to take my black only, and I'm going to make little lines to the bottom of the fingers. And these are the little gloves, okay? So the gray to the black fingertip kind of areas, it's going to be a light grayish black, like a charcoal gray, and then as it closes up, it turns darker black. That way we work into the black before it's just, oh, there's all of a sudden just this really dark color on the hands. Same thing. Oh, you know what I just realized? I painted my arms wrong. Oh, that's funny. This should be this way. I painted them. No, they'll work. Okay. I think in my head, I thought I did it this way. No, I did it correctly. So this will lay on the stomach. I'm sorry. I just had that moment where I'm like, did I paint those correctly? But yes, they should be opposite. As long as they're opposite, they should be good. I thought I painted them, I think, like this. And I was like, oh no, when I put this one down. No, they work. They just need to be opposite. Look, little hands. Let's do this. Let's do this. Hello. I'm not going to glue mine yet. I think I need to just make little videos with little hands, little opossum hands. And this is why I do this for my living. Okay. More black. Now we're going to use black to go anywhere. You can add little quick lines of black just to show, you know, they're not a perfect gray. Their fur lands all differently. It's not just precise. So I splash in little hairs. This is why I was saying you don't need the split brush, but this is what it helps with. It like helps cover more things. But we're going to get a little bit of a darker charcoal gray as it runs out. I barely have any water on this brush. It's mostly, I'm just dipping the tip of the brush in and then loading my paint up. Okay, and then adding a little bit of black up here just to add a little bit of a difference to create interest. All right, I'm going to make eyebrows at the top. So it's like a charcoal gray. I'm kind of blending it with water. So I'm just drawing a few lines here and there, not making precise eyebrows. The more fun and whimsical it is usually when you just kind of get the eyebrows to kind of separate and go different ways. Okay, because it's fur, it's fur. Anything left over, I find where I can use it. I'm going to actually add just from the inside of this, not the cheek part, because that's going into the actual cheek. I'm going to use a little bit of this charcoal gray to add the top lip. And I'm going to go really carefully back and forth instead of one straight line. Whoa, whoa, whoa. There was too much water on that, see? And it started to move. All right, and we're going to do one more, kind of getting a little bit more black. You can keep it all the pink tone. I just want a little bit of a dark line to separate the top lip from the bottom lip. And then a little chin. Here's my little chin. What kind of glue do you use to attach? I love that. Always super glue by Gorilla. Always. This is my choice. E6000 is a little too much I know a lot of people like, you should use E6000. I used it for years. It eroded a lot of my projects. It like was way too much for this. If you do a super glue like this, look for the one that says 10 seconds. It's in a little circle next to it that says 10 second. If you do one that says extra large or whatever, and it doesn't say 10 seconds, and I try to avoid the gel, I pretty much only go for tips like this. I've tried the brush ones. They end up getting stuck and I waste so much super glue. These are my favorite. So that is what I use for it. And actually, as you're talking about it, I'm like, let me glue my feet on. You barely need any super glue, barely, just a dot. As teachers used to tell me, dot, dot, you don't need a lot, as this danced around it. All right, how you want to put the toes is up to you, but look at this teardrop shape I have with the character. You can turn the feet out, you can turn them more in, you can put them lower, you can put them a little bit higher, but remember the arm has to go there first. So before I usually glue it all down, I do lay it all out, but I've already done this project, so I kind of know whereabouts to put everything. It'll be dry in about, I don't say 10 seconds. I still give it like a minute to dry because there has been a time where I thought it was dry, but the paint kind of resisted it. And then I came back 20 minutes later and it was completely cockeyed. And I was like, man, because I had left it thinking it wasn't going to stick. And then that happens. So yes. All right. Now I'm going to add my eyeballs. Let's just double check. I think these are pretty dry. I'm going to take black on the end of my little brush, tiniest brush. I'm going to place the eye, and then you can choose if you want them staring straight on or if you want them to be a little cross-eyed, cutesy, kind of looking inward. But little is better because if you go too big, guess what? You're going to get too big on one side. If you are a lefty, do the left one first and then the right one. I'm not a lefty, but I can see with this project pretty much wherever my hand is, I can see what I'm doing. But sometimes you move from here, you go this way, and then you hide it and you can't see what you're working on. So if you're a righty, do the right side first and then try to match the left to the right. Symmetry is tough. Now this is a tricky one. You can use a Posca marker for this part, a little fine Posca marker, but I am going to draw little lash lines. Very little lash lines. Again, I'm going to auction this one off tonight. And just because this workshop is done does not mean you can't rewatch it and purchase your own opossum to make. They are still up for grabs on my website, and I believe I linked in the description the link to get your own, but if I didn't, for some reason, let me know. The link is also in my Instagram stories today, Critterosity. So if you missed out on it, I did repost where it is. I'm going to use a little bit of black just to create a little bit of some fuzzy line work here. Just a little bit, nothing too crazy. You can also just do a dark gray or a little bit darker gray. I went straight to black, but I think I'm going to use gray to kind of clean it up. But see, the littler the brush, the more detail you can get. I'm going to add a little line in between the eyes. So I'm going to hold that there. You can pause it and just stare at it and try to make it look similar. If you want your eyes bigger, you can do that, or the pupils. I'm pretty happy with kind of this simpler eye. I'm going to go a little bit in, just a little bit in. Sorry about the sirens, happens all day here. Okay, there we go. And then I'll do a little bit of white with that black, just kind of mix them in, and then just go over it again a little bit. Okay, now just areas you want to touch up, great time to do it. I'm going to touch up my little feet that are sitting at the bottom and then my hands. When the black is dry, I'm going to add a little white dot. But if you want to take this a step further and you're really good with small brushes, we're going to add a little shading to the top of the white of the eye. I'm using Misty Green. There's also a Misty Blue in this product. And I'm just going to add a little shadow underneath. It's such a small little detail, but to me, the small details are kind of what make it. And I'm actually going to use this Misty Green to soften that little line that I did over the nose. Just kind of made it a little softer. And I can see a weird little line here. There we go. And that was a bit of that misty green. Let me go back to my gray. So yeah, just remember, be patient, let it dry, and go back to things to fix mistakes. When it's dry, you can do all of that. All right, now I'm gonna take my coral red. These are just little details, again, that I'm choosing to do for mine. I'm going to add a little bit around the nostrils because I felt like I was losing that line work. I'm gonna add a little bit more of a lip down here because I was losing that. I'm gonna add a white dot to each cheek as a little highlight. Yes, it's a cartoon. Normally they're not gonna be a shiny little face, even though mine actually, I made kind of a shiny face on accident with the paint I used. I don't suggest touching things with your fingers. I've just done this for years, so it's better not to get the paint on your skin in all cases. I'm gonna touch up a couple other things I see as I go, and you guys just catch up and work on your own. I'm going to add some more little flare lines just to get a little bit more of a white on there. A little bit of white here. Soften that one up. Okay, adding a little bit more white, cleaning up any lines I need to. If you want to make little teeths, you can make little teeth sticking out. They can get very long teeth, just so you guys know. All right, these little bottom feet that I have, is I'm going to just add a shine now with that. Remember I used that really light pink and I said it was so light, kind of needed some coral red. Well, now I'm going to use it as a highlight. That way I'm not using white. I try to avoid white where I can. Okay, I have a paint booger stuck to my hand. That's why I call them boogers. They're the ones you try to get off and you can't get it. I know, I'm a human. I understand this. I messed up a little bit and got it on the arms. So hold on one second, just cleaning something up before it dries. Okay. So with this is shell pink, I'm going to use it as just a highlight, meaning I'm going to pick some spots to put it to add some light, and it kind of closes up the design. Okay, so I'm just adding a little highlight here and there. Just a little. These are kind of rounded paws or pads. So I'm going to add a little bit around, a little bit around. There we go. And a little bit here. So see how it kind of just finished the piece up? If you want it to be more precise, you can certainly do that. I'm okay with just an idea of it because as humans, we know what we're looking at. We know that they're feet. And I think if you overdo it, it just becomes too much. Just give them an idea and they will know, oh, those are feet. Those are little pads. And then people can learn about all their toes they have. Just like us, they've got little thumbs, super cute. You can use coral red to go back over anything you need. Okay, to add like a darker spot or fix something you messed up. But you can use those darker tones. Just don't go back to the darkest color you have because the whole point is to get lighter and lighter. And acrylic gouache, it dries really light. Okay, so this was the arms. Okay, these are the arms. And I'm going to use my little split brush again. Okay, and I'm going to mix a little bit of white. Do your white first. Don't just do the black. The black cannot be contaminated with the white because it's already dark. And I'm just going to brush a little bit here, kind of go over what I made. You see how it softens it? Kind of gives it more of a realistic look again. All right, there we go. I'll use some of this here and just kind of soften any lines I've already done. No biggie, no biggie. I think I'm ready to glue all of mine together, so I'm going to glue the tail on. See? Toes are already on. I don't have to worry about it. Again, I might go back and just touch things up here and there before I auction it off on my Pop Shop live sale. A portion of that will go to the Easy and BB Wildlife Foster Program. Sorry, my brain is also thinking about the glue. Like thinking and talking. How far down you put the tail is up to you. I gave you plenty to work with. I'm doing kind of a medium. Let it dry. Watch out because when it gets on your fingers, it's hard to move it. I just love this look right here. Like, wee! And again, this little piece can hang off your finger when it's dry or a little limb of a tree. Super cute. Okay, then I'm gonna do the ears. Okay, so I'm gonna figure out where I want the ears to go. That's up to you. I'm gonna add a little dot here. And I totally forgot to mention, if you rewatch this later and you didn't work on it, play some music. Put on facts about opossums. You know, learn a little. Okay, the ears do stick up more than they are pressed down. So I'm kind of lifting mine upward. Again, I think I got 2 of the same shape ears. Some of you have like two different shapes, and that's okay. If you move it around too much, it will pop off, but just know that you don't need more super glue. Just hold it as soon as you like where they are and don't move it anymore. Sold that way. Yes, so the split, these are great questions. The split brush is sold that way, which is fantastic because as a face painter, kids would ask to be painted like an animal and it would add the coolest texture. You can cut a brush, but I promise you, it will never look as good as a split brush all ready to go. Now, if you have paint all over your hands like me, you might accidentally like lift it up. Just let it dry and come back and work on those. I'm going to glue the head on before the arms. Okay, so do the arms last. And you can tilt the head so it looks like he's looking at you. You can leave it straight up and down. I like a little bit of character to them. I think this way would be cute. So I'm going a little bit at an angle. And the reason we leave the arms, you do have to pick it up because it might not be completely even as you're gluing it. The reason I do the arms last is it all depends on where you put your head. If you put the head lower, then the arm may have been already glued on and it's going to look like, oh no, I got to move it up. Or you move it too high, or you have it hanging down lower and it doesn't look like it's connected to anything. We're putting it as close to the chin as possible. So don't tilt it all the way, just give it a little tilt. Okay, and you're gonna see I can't even move it now. That's how good this glue is. So now I can start to place my arms. And what I do is I get the first one. I want it to rest on the neck. Again, it's a cartoon. It's supposed to be fun. His arm's kind of sitting on the tummy. Waving it or putting it out might look weird. That's why I'm sticking with just resting on the tummy as he's hanging upside down. Okay, and we just place that one there. I'm gonna let that dry for a second. Hope you guys are having a good time with this. I'm gonna fix up, while that's drying, I'm gonna fix up a couple little things that I noticed, like where my thumb was holding it, especially since I didn't get the matte paint, the glossy paint, the glossy enamel paint. It just sticks to everything. Like even when it's dry, it still sticks. So now I'm gonna take some white and add some points of interest by brightening this up just a little bit. And if you feel like you're going too fast, things aren't drying, you still have gotten your ratio wrong with water to paint, so it's taking forever to dry, just stop, take a drink, go to the bathroom, do some jumping jacks, get some exercise in there, you know? Take a break, take a breather, and just relax. Just relax. Just like this little opossum is just relaxing. And now I'm going to add a little shine everywhere. So I'm going to add a little like dots for the toes to look a little shiny. And see how it's making that really pop when I add those? All right, or paw. I mean, are they paws? I don't know. Some research I need to do on an opossum. What are the toes called? Toes? Feet? Or do they actually have a name like a paw? Adding a little bit of white to the fingers. Not a lot, just a little highlight. Okay, you have these little fingerless gloves. And then I'm gonna add a little white to my pupils. Get ready for this. Can you read the whole oh, I'm so sorry. What kind of glue? Or is it just split over time? There we go, the whole question. They come just like this. I am so sorry. Thank you so much. They show up just like that. This is over time. They actually start to stick together more. But when you get them, they look just like that. They have those nice even cuts. Thank you so much for letting me know there was more to the question. That's my fault because I am a terrible reader. I decided to add a little bit more white in the ears. I'm going to come back with some pink. So yeah, just adding little lines here and there. All right, and then I was gonna do the little teeny dots. So I just go one little dot for the eye, one little dot for the eye. And there we go. That makes our eyes look a little bit more, oh, his ear stuck to the table. Uh-oh. I must have had a dot of super glue on the table, so it stuck to the table. That's okay. We'll redo it. So let me put this back on there. That was my fault. It probably squished down the side or something. I don't know. All you do is just put it back on. Also, if you work with kids, you need to do this as the parent. This paint is, or the glue is obviously not great to be smelling. It's really stinky, and we don't want kids smelling the glue. So I highly suggest parents gluing the pieces on. And what I used to do when I worked at a preschool is I would ask the kids, like, where do you want it to go? Because I wanted it to be as close and authentic to what they wanted, even if you know, as an adult, the ear doesn't go over here. Let them do it. It's fun. It's a project. You can always buy these again. You can buy the kit again and make it again. So what I would say is, tell me where you want one of the ears to go. And I would have my sample there so they could try to match it to where they thought, but they'd go right there. And I'd be like, you sure? Just triple checking, because once it goes down, and they're like, yeah. I'm like, sure? Yep. And I'm like, okay, that's where it goes. I never once was like, this is not where it goes. They also have a prehensile tail. Yes, a prehensile tail, which you guys can read. For their gripping, yes. And I think I got everything. I think I got all the questions. Oh, let's see. No, I read that one too. Okay, perfect. Just making sure I got it. Yes, a prehensile tail, which means they can grab with it. You know, cats use it for balance. They don't use it to grab. Monkeys have prehensile tails. Opossum have prehensile tails. And then you can test it out. Okay, I have a messy desk. Please enjoy. All right, so that's what it looks like hanging. And what the cool thing is with Posca markers that I mentioned earlier is you can add little details where maybe you don't have a color in that, you don't have a paint color that's like that. You can go back and just add a little dot of blue into the eyes to give it a little bit of a look like you can see almost a reflection is what it's like. It's the light, but it's also, you know, whatever. And then you can add white with this. Hold on one second. It's really loud. My Posca markers I've been using quite a lot. Hold on one second. All right. And you can add little lines here. It may come out really fast. So sometimes I'll test it on a piece of paper before just going right in. Maybe you need to touch something up around the eyes and get it a little bit better. And then I have colors I use a lot as paints, which is coral red, teal. I have like this pink one. So you can go in. It does add a little bit of a gloss to it. They make gray, came with the kit that I bought. So now I can go in maybe with the ears that are a little bit tougher to get to. You could have done the pupils that are black with just one dot of a Posca marker. I have a silver and I have a gray. I want to make sure I grab the silver, which is matte, or the gray, which is a matte and not the silver. They're pretty much ready to use, but see, I can add cute little lines to the ears. I can go here and add a little more. I can go in here and kind of fix it up. But at least it's with your hand, so it's a little easier than trying to figure it out with a brush. Because sometimes the brush just does not want to go the way I want it to go. So see how I'm adding fun little lines? Creating textures. So again, please tag and follow Easy and BB if you've taken this workshop. If you guys are having fun with it, you've enjoyed it. This is what our little opossum looks like. Look at that. He's hanging next to his buddy. But I also have this one in case you just want to make two little black dots for the eyes. But there we go. It's all the way down. Enough to hang from most fingers. If it doesn't fit on your finger, sorry, maybe a pinky finger. But I'd like to think that I made them big enough to do that. You can also hang them off of a shelf or a wire rack of some kind. Make a new spot for them and just have them hang. And if you have little I wouldn't suggest putting them outside in the weather because this is like a particle board, almost like paper. So it will get wear and tear if you leave it outside like a normal plywood would, over time. So if you have like an indoor plant that it could hang from and not ruin the little branch on it, a little tree maybe you have, or again, a fake tree for Christmas or something like that, you could definitely do that. So one last time, because this whole thing is all to raise money, I do want to remind you guys that the wildlife animals, okay, the things we have deemed wild, need to live there. That is what their instincts tell them. If they do not know how to use a litter box, yes, you can train them. But if they don't have that instinct just to do the normal things that they do, they probably should not be in your home. And remember, docile does not mean that it's not aggressive. We get a lot of opossums in that don't bite us, that don't hiss at us, that are actually curious, that come over to us. It doesn't mean I'm going to take it home. And I know that everyone sees it on TikTok and Instagram and all of that you can though, but you can. But imagine someone taking you out of your original place. And if you're thinking about babies that have no idea, right? They've never seen the outside. I've gotten it since it was a baby. I'm helping it. Did you know that you can rehabilitate and treat animals as a wild animal? You can capture and rescue ones that maybe the mother got hit by a car, and you can always check inside the pouch. That is one of the number one things you want to do, is have a box of plastic gloves with you. Have a box of plastic gloves, never hurt anybody, right? You can just keep them in your car for any emergency. But if you ever do see an opossum, it is fairly new and has been hit, which is a very sad case, but here in California, we see it a lot. You always want to check to see if it's a female and has the pouch. And if it does have a pouch, you can take out the babies. They can survive. They only can survive for so long, but they might still be inside until the parents no longer are producing the milk and all of that jazz. There's a lot more scientific-y things that go into it, but like I said, do your research. If you can rescue those and you live in Southern California, please reach out to the Wildlife Foster Program. A 24/7 line is open. They will happily take them and tube feed them. What I'm trying to tell you is get it to somebody ASAP. Do not raise it for yourself. There's a lot of things that you do not know. There are things I've learned about squirrels where squirrels can aspirate. That means the way that they drink, they have to be in a certain position to drink. You cannot force feed them. A lot of them need to be force fed, and you need to do it in such a particular way you don't make the formula go into their lungs and not their stomach. Birds, one drop of water in a bird's mouth can make it aspirate and hurt it, if not further than that. So I do want to remind you guys, if you're not a professional, please do not try to keep a wild animal. And when I tell you, I clean the cages. I see how filthy these animals are. I see how aggressive. I see the way that they're not meant to be in captivity, okay? If they are, there's usually an educational reason. There's usually, there's a reason they can't release them because something would happen to them in the wild. So it's better for somebody to take them for education and train other people. We have a zoo school, if you will, in... where is it? I've been there before. I should know the name of this, and I am blanking. But anyway, there's a teaching zoo. The teaching zoo is what it's called. And what that is, it's on a college campus at Moore Park. And they use the animals that can't be released for our upcoming zoologists to learn, or those that are going into any kind of talk about conservation, things like that. So there are reasons animals can't go back into the wild, but for the most part, we are trying to get all animals back to the wild. That is where they belong. That is where they start, and that's where they should end. And that is all part of our ecosystem and the way of life and the way that our delicate balance works. So please, I beg of you, as much as animals are cute, please keep the animals that are not domesticated in the wild. That's all I ask. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening to my TED Talk, and being a part of this. We would love to see these finalized. If you feel like sharing, tag at EasyandBB on Instagram, Wildlife Foster Program on Facebook. And again, I am not trying to get any clout here as Critterosity, but that is where my art comes from. So if you do choose to follow, support, subscribe, we will have upcoming DIY projects like this. I do own a laser cutter now, so I've been making projects that we can make at home, and that way you guys can stay and do this at your own convenience. Thank you for tuning in, also donating by purchasing, and thank you so very much, you guys. I hope you have a wonderful day, and we're seeing, are those fine tip or rounded? I have both Posca markers. I have both. The larger ones are rounded, and the smaller ones are fine tip. So it's all about the size of the pen when you buy it, and you will see the different sizes. But yeah, thank you so much. Sorry I missed that last little one, and thank you for tuning in right here at the end. Have a great one. Bye, everyone.